A lot of times when we need to put pressure on the cattle, we're at the back of the animals, like right here in this V. If you put 20 head in here to run them up through, they're going to go, but they're all going to hit that funnel, and they're going to jam up, and there's going to be some bruising done and some things. And then you're going to be at the back of the cattle, and you need to be at the front. And that's where it's nice if you have two people. And what I would do if I was working with my son or my daughter or somebody, I would pass them off. I would bring them into the tub or this pen here. They would be up in the front, and they would take over there. And I would just kind of be back here, shut a gate or whatever, and they would start working. It would be their job to take them the rest of the way. The guy in the back, he's kind of helpless, really. So.
As they relieve the pressure from the front, you keep moving up.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I call it ping-ponging. And like pulling cattle in a feed yard or something, or pulling cattle in a pen or whatever, a lot of times when there's two people working together trying to pull one, if you both put pressure on at the same time, the calf gets confused. He puts his head up and he runs between you and he leaves you. So Ron Gill and I, we did this a lot, and my son and I, we ping-pong them. One person has control, and the animal can only be thinking of one person at a time. So that person, when he has control, I get out. But I'm getting ready for the next place I'm needed. So then when he loses control, when the calf turns, I'm right there where I should be. And that's really nice. That's really nice work. I mean, you're setting yourself up, and it just makes it where the cattle really, really seem to want to work for you. So, any other questions? Anything else we need to talk about that I've forgotten to talk about?
Where do you live?
Where do I live? I live in South Dakota. I just moved there not too long ago. You recognize my accent? So, yeah, South Dakota. Yeah, grew up in Montana. I'll show you one more thing that I like to do, and I realize I didn't really realize how fast your cattle work. Your cattle work faster than probably most people's. And I'm not criticizing, but they are a little bit wild or sensitive. And I don't think you need it. I mean, I think we should be trying to change it. I don't know if we can, but we should be trying. And I think it would be very helpful for the industry and for profit. And like Temple was saying, she kind of says it how it is. She doesn't really mince many words there. And she was right. I mean, when I tell you the two places where I hear the cattle are the wildest in feed yards in Texas, Florida and Hawaiian cattle. And the cattle from Hawaii are very, very wild and real fast. And I've never been anywhere else except in the southeast where they work cattle with a sort gate. Like we work sheep that way in Montana, where we have a sort gate, and South Dakota. But we don't. We sort our cattle in an alley, or I don't like sorting in an alley even. I like sorting out of a pen like this. But I see your cattle are more like horses. When one go, they all go, right? That's how it is. And it's pretty hard to get them sorted that way. But what I think the problem is they don't think, they react. And so what I think is important is train those cattle to stop and hold them up. And I know we've heard a lot of talk about dogs today, catch dogs, and that's fine. But I think if you simply rely on your dogs, you're going to have cattle that kind of go into a panic, and then maybe when the human takes over, you'll get out of that panic. But you got to be careful with that. Yes?
What we usually do with my dogs is we have shock collars on them.
Yes.
And when they got too much pressure on the cattle, we'll call the dog off.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But a lot of people like dogs that have a lot of pressure. I mean, that's kind of the norm.
Between me and them.
Good. And I'm not. It's not my place to tell somebody that they're too rough on their cattle or too wild or whatever. But all I can say is if you want to get a premium for your cattle and you want the reputation of Florida cattle to change, then maybe we got to do something about it. And maybe we got to step up. I know it's kind of the code of the West or the code of the East or the code of the cowboy, whatever, where we're at, is you don't really say something to somebody else about their practices. But maybe it's time now that we do. Because when the code of the cowboy or the spirit of the cowboy or whatever that was all brought up, They didn't have cell phones with cameras on them. We didn't have mass media communication. Now we do. And so what the neighbor does affects us. And so when I see somebody's dogs tearing a cow's ears off alongside the highway, that ain't right. Right? It's just not right. So I don't know. It's a real tough one. And dogs, I'm a dog guy. I got hanging tree cow dogs, which are Kelpie, Border Collie, and Catahoula. So they're a little bit of a head dog, and they'll bite if they need to. I'm a dog. I love dogs, and I work a lot of dogs, and I've seen some of your Florida dog work. I was up in North Florida. I can't remember the Archie Rogers' place, and it was his son-in-law that we were at his place, and we took some dogs out, and I'd never seen, and Charlie Trayer, who has hanging tree cow dogs, he brought some of his hanging tree dogs down, and we stopped some cattle up, and then we worked the cur dogs, or is that curs? Is that what you're? Yeah, and it was wonderful. I mean, they were good dogs, and I'm sure everywhere you go, there's different levels of dogs. And so,
people that train them.
yes, yeah, you got to have a handle on your kids, your dogs, your horse. Not your wife. I'm not saying my wife.
Any advice to the fella who takes care of all the mistakes that everybody else makes?
Yeah, the fella that takes care of the mistakes that everybody else makes. Yeah, I've been doing that all of my life with horses.
The reason I say that, I mean, say what we do, we're background operations.
Yep.
And say I get 1,500 head in 1 week.
Yep.
I got pastures with 250. That's the most I put in the pasture.
Yep, good.
These cattle come from every market in Florida.
Yep.
Now I got
Where are you at?
cheaper.
Okay.
Now I got everybody's problems in one team.
Yep.
I got them for 45 days.
Yep. First thing I would do, and this is kind of a new deal, and first thing we do is take the stress off them. And there's a lot of stress on those cattle.
Because once they get to us, we have to process.
Yep.
Or they have to get turned out.
Process them, do whatever. But then, when you get done, have you seen some round pen stuff?
Oh yeah.
I would work those cattle, and so when I get fresh cattle in or whatever, and they're going to have a lot of movement in them probably. They're gonna
like say for example, we do a lot of work for King Ranch.
Okay.
You know, some of their cattle you can ride out there in the field, just park, just stop.
Yep. They'll go. Yep. You got to stop them.
I mean,
Yeah, I understand. You got to stop them, and that's just like. So if these cattle here, and you might have to take them, you got to use your corners. And when they want to go, see when you wean cows or you have cows like that and they want to go, you got the leader, he's wanting to go. And he takes off, and then you got these followers. And
you got a bunch of leaders.
Yeah, a bunch of leaders, gotcha. Well, and they're leading. And then these other guys say, well, those guys are going somewhere, we might as well follow, right? So they're leading, these are drawing, these are following. Pretty soon, these don't know if they want to go anymore. But these back here are pushing them. You got perpetual motion. You got draw, you got push. And then it goes and it goes and it goes so long those calves get fatigued. So what you got to do is you go to a corner. And you, just like, so if these cattle, when they come into a corner and they got a lot of movement on them, when they come out of this corner and they're walking here, I'll just come right up here horseback, and they're going to have a lot more movement this, and I'll just stay with them and ride with them until they get to the next corner and try to slow them down. Stay out in front of them, just checking them up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you've done it.